Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're diving into something pretty fascinating, I think.
Yeah.
All about you.
Ooh,
Your personal growth, self-discovery, that kind of thing.
I like it.
We found this really cool article,
Sure.
Why Growing Into Yourself Changes Everything,
Yeah.
published just earlier this year, actually, back in January.
I think I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, and it's got some really interesting advice and tips on how to really kind of become your most authentic self.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So that's what we're going to be exploring today.
Awesome.
But first,
Yeah.
What does that even mean, growing into yourself?
Well, it's funny because sometimes that phrase, it can sound kind of vague.
Right.
But this article actually does a really great job of kind of breaking it down,
Okay.
and showing how powerful it can be for people.
So, what changes when you start doing that?
Well, it's not just some abstract, feel-good concept. It actually leads to, real tangible benefits in your life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
When you're truly comfortable in your own skin,
Mm-hmm.
you're less likely to be swayed by, outside pressure or opinions.
Interesting.
You start making decisions that feel right for you,
Oh, yeah.
not just what you think other people expect of you.
Makes sense.
And that right there, that's the foundation of a stronger sense of self.
Okay.
And honestly, it can affect every single aspect of your life, from your relationships to your work.
Wow. So it's kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, having a really strong core so you just don't get knocked off balance as easily.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And it also helps you find, I guess, a deeper sense of purpose.
Right. Because when you know who you are
Mm-hmm.
and what you truly value,
Mm-hmm.
you can start aligning your actions with your true north.
Yeah, so it's not just about feeling good,
Uh-uh.
it's about living a life that's actually meaningful and fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And there's more. Increased resilience, when you're facing challenges.
Oh, that's a good one.
And even a greater capacity for empathy for other people.
Really?
Think about it.
Okay.
When you're secure in yourself,
Yeah.
you're less likely to take things personally.
Oh, interesting.
And you can approach others with more understanding and compassion.
So it actually kind of flows outwards too.
It really does. It's pretty amazing.
And the article even says that this isn't a one-time achievement.
Right.
It's a journey that continues throughout your life.
It is. It's an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and evolving.
But okay, so then where do we even begin?
Yeah.
It feels like such a big, complex topic,
I know what you mean.
The article actually mentions something called behavioral genetics,
Oh, yeah.
which totally blew my mind.
I know, right?
Who knew that our genes could actually influence things like our temperament?
It's pretty amazing.
So we're not just blank slates when we're born.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
We inherit certain predispositions that create a unique range of potential for each of us. Almost like a blueprint for our personality, exactly.
And the article uses this really cool analogy.
Okay.
It says we're like plants,
Okay.
each of us with our own unique genetic makeup.
Mhm.
But how we grow and flourish, it depends on the environment.
It really does.
I mean, think about a sunflower that needs lots of sunlight
Right.
to thrive,
You put it in the shade, it's not going to be happy.
Exactly. So similarly, we all have our own inherent strengths and tendencies, but our upbringing, our experiences, and even the culture we live in can shape how those traits are actually expressed.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, think about your own life for a second.
Okay.
Your early experiences, especially in your family,
Mm.
they play a huge role in shaping how you see yourself in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Even those well-intentioned expectations from your parents,
Yeah,
they can influence us in ways we don't even realize.
that's true.
So think about it. How might those early experiences be influencing the choices you make and how you're behaving today? Are you living in alignment with your true values and desires?
Hmm.
Or are you still maybe trying to live up to someone else's expectations?
I like that.
It's a big question to think about.
So we've got this genetic blueprint, and then we're shaped by our environment.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that the article talks about this thing called neuroplasticity.
Oh, yeah, one of my favorite topics.
What does that even mean?
Well, basically, it means that our brains are constantly changing and adapting based on our experiences.
Really?
Yeah, for a long time, scientists thought that our brains were pretty much fixed after a certain age.
Oh, wow.
But now we know that's not true at all.
Oh, that's kind of mind-blowing
It is right.
and a little intimidating.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
But so even if we've had a difficult childhood or we're, struggling with a negative self-talk,
Yeah,
we're not doomed.
not at all. That's what's so empowering about it. You actually have the power to change your self-perception
Wow.
and grow into the person you want to be. It's not about being stuck with whatever patterns or beliefs you developed earlier in life.
Right.
It's not about fixing something that's broken.
It's about evolving.
Exactly.
And becoming a more fully realized version of yourself.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And the article goes even deeper and talks about how our social interactions impact all of this,
Oh, yeah.
especially during, those crucial periods like puberty when we're
You
developing.
remember puberty.
Oh, yeah, we all do.
Not fun.
Yeah, it can be rough.
But it's when we really start, I guess, to grapple with that need to belong.
Right, you're trying to find your place in the world outside of your family.
You're figuring out who you are.
Exactly.
But the article mentions these things called mirror neurons.
Oh, yeah, they're so fascinating.
What are those?
Well, basically, it's like our brains are literally wired for empathy,
Okay.
to mirror the emotions and actions of other people.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever noticed when someone yawns and then you yawn too?
Oh,
Or when you see someone smile and you can't help but smile back?
yeah.
Mirror neurons at work.
Wow.
It's what helps us connect with other people
Oh, cool.
to build relationships.
So does that also mean that we're incredibly susceptible to, I don't know, social comparison?
Absolutely, especially when we get too caught up in measuring ourselves against other people.
I remember those days.
We all do think back to those times when you felt the pressure to conform or to compare yourself to others.
Yeah. How did that make you feel? Well, it definitely made me question my own values,
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing? Am I good enough? That kind of thing.
It can really make you try to be someone you're not, just to fit in.
And how do we avoid that, I guess?
Well, it's crucial to be mindful of the company you keep.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who support your growth
Yeah.
and encourage you to be your authentic self.
Good advice.
And speaking of authenticity, the article highlights another crucial factor in this whole growing into yourself thing.
Oh,
The story you tell yourself.
what do you mean by that?
Well, it's about your internal narrative. The
Mhm.
constant chatter in your head about who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve.
Oh, right.
So think about it. Is your inner voice a supportive cheerleader?
Good question.
Or is it a harsh critic? How is that internal dialogue shaping your self-image and the choices that you make?
Well, we all have that inner critic sometimes, right?
We do. It's normal.
But if it's constantly putting you down or holding you back.
Yeah, then it's time to start rewriting that script.
Okay, but how do we do that?
Well, that's where those concrete steps come in.
Oh, right. The article had 5 of them, right?
It did. 5 actionable steps to help you on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
Cool. And I guess that deserves its own deep dive.
I think so. I think we need a whole other episode for that one.
All right, so we'll unpack those steps in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
I can't wait.
Okay, so we're back.
Back for more.
And ready to dive into those 5 actionable steps for growing into yourself.
Yeah, the article lays it out really well.
They're not just vague ideas,
Right.
They're practical tools you can actually start using right now.
Exactly. Think of these steps as like guideposts.
Okay.
On your journey of self-discovery.
I like that.
And remember, you don't have to tackle all of them at once.
Right.
You can start with whichever one really resonates with you in this moment.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So what's the first step?
Well, the first step is all about self-reflection and self-acceptance.
Okay.
Think of it like laying the foundation for a strong building. You can't build something solid without really knowing the ground it stands on.
So it's about taking a good look at ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
The whole shebang.
Exactly. It's about getting to know yourself on a deeper level.
Okay.
Your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, your aspirations.
Oh, that's fun.
Even those little quirky things that make you unique. Right. The article suggests things like journaling,
Oh, yeah?
meditation, or even just taking some quiet time to reflect on your own.
So just be more mindful.
Exactly. And asking yourself some big questions.
What?
Well, what truly lights you up?
Okay.
What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What brings you joy,
Yeah.
even if you don't get paid for it?
It's like taking inventory of your inner landscape.
I love that analogy.
But what about the self-acceptance part?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
can be a real struggle for a lot of people.
Oh, I know. It's so easy to get caught up in self-criticism,
Mm-hmm.
and just focus on all our perceived flaws.
Yeah, we're really good at that.
We are. But self-acceptance is about recognizing that those imperfections
Mm-hmm.
are actually part of what makes you you. It's
Yeah.
about embracing your whole self,
The good, the bad, the ugly.
all of it. Not just the parts you deem, acceptable or worthy.
So instead of trying to change ourselves to fit some external mold,
Right.
it's about appreciating who we are right now.
Exactly. Flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
And honestly, that acceptance, it opens the door to incredible growth.
Really?
Think about it. Imagine feeling so free that you could just be your true self.
Wow.
Without the burden of trying to be someone you're not.
That's powerful stuff.
It's the power of self-acceptance.
All right, so step 1 is laying the foundation with self-reflection and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
What's next?
Step 2 is all about embracing a growth mindset.
Okay, I've heard of that before, but remind me what that means.
Remember that concept of neuroplasticity we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
This is where it really comes into play.
So instead of thinking, I'm just not good at something,
Yeah.
we shift our thinking to, I can learn and grow in this area.
Exactly. It's about believing in your ability to develop new skills,
Okay.
overcome challenges, and learn from your mistakes.
So it's not about being perfect.
Not at all. It's about seeing obstacles as opportunities for growth,
Oh, I like that.
not as proof that you're somehow inadequate.
That's a good way to look at it.
Right. And I remember a time when I was totally convinced that I could never be a good public speaker.
Oh, really?
I was terrified of getting up in front of people.
Yeah, I get that.
But once I started embracing this growth mindset, I realized that my fear was just a hurdle,
Interesting.
that I could overcome with practice.
So you just kind of push through it.
Exactly. And the more you practice that growth mindset, the more resilient you become.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because when you believe you can learn and grow,
Yeah.
you're less likely to give up when things get tough.
Right, because you know you can handle it.
Exactly.
This feels very empowering.
It is.
Okay, so what's step 3?
Step 3 is all about pursuing your passions and seeking personal development.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, think about the things that light you up. The
Mhm.
things that make you feel truly alive and engaged.
Okay.
Could be a hobby, a
Mhm.
creative pursuit, a new field of study,
Gotcha.
anything that sparks your curiosity and makes you want to learn and grow.
So this is where we get to have some fun.
Exactly. It's about exploring those things that bring you joy
Mm-hmm.
and make you feel most like yourself.
And it doesn't have to be like something grand or life-altering.
Right.
Maybe it's just learning to play a new instrument or taking a pottery class.
Totally. And it's not just about leisure activities either. It could involve taking on a new challenge at work,
Right.
learning a new language, or volunteering for a cause you care about.
So it's about actively seeking out opportunities that'll help us grow and expand our horizons.
Exactly. Both personally and professionally.
And even if we can't make a living doing what we love,
Yeah.
the article makes a good point that pursuing our passions outside of work
Mm-hmm.
can still enrich our lives in countless ways.
It can. It's about bringing more joy and meaning into your everyday life.
Right.
And sometimes exploring those passions can actually lead to unexpected opportunities.
Oh, like what?
Well, maybe that hobby you love turns into a side hustle, or those volunteer hours you're doing lead to a new career path.
Wow, that's cool.
It can happen.
So it's about being open to possibilities and seeing where life takes you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about step 4?
All right, step 4 focuses on cultivating healthy relationships.
Okay.
And we talked earlier about the impact of social interactions.
Yeah, especially during those formative years.
Exactly. Now it's about being intentional about the relationships we cultivate as adults.
But how do we know if our relationships are truly supportive?
That's a good question.
What should we be looking for?
Well, pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel energized and uplifted?
Okay.
Or do you feel drained and depleted?
Like some people are emotional vampires,
Exactly. It's so important to recognize those relationships that might be holding you back or bringing you down.
Yeah, but it can be tough to do that sometimes.
I know it's not about blaming or judging others.
Okay.
It's about recognizing patterns and making choices that align with your own well-being.
So sometimes we need to create some distance from people who are constantly negative or critical or who try to keep us small.
It's true, and I know it can be tough to set boundaries.
Yeah, especially with people we care about.
I hear you, but it's so important for your own growth and happiness.
Right, putting yourself first.
And remember, it's not just about creating distance from those unhealthy relationships.
Okay.
It's also about actively cultivating the relationships that nourish and support you.
Good point.
Surround yourself with people who believe in you,
Yeah.
who encourage your growth and celebrate your successes.
Yeah, those are the people who make you feel like you can conquer the world.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're on to the final step.
I know. Can you believe it?
What's the grand finale?
Step 5 is to embrace failure and learn from your mistakes.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know, right? Our culture tends to glorify success and just kind of sweep failures under the rug,
Like we're supposed to be perfect all the time.
which is totally unrealistic.
But the article makes a good point.
What is that?
Mistakes are inevitable.
They are.
They're actually an essential part of growth.
They really are. And they can be our greatest teachers if we're willing to learn from them.
Think about a baby learning to walk.
Oh, yeah.
They stumble and fall so many times before they finally master it.
It's true.
Those stumbles aren't failures. They're part of the process.
Exactly. And it's the same with any new skill or endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up sometimes. It's all part of the journey.
So how do we deal with that, I guess?
Well, the key is to shift your perspective
Okay.
from seeing failure as like a sign of weakness
Right.
to seeing it as a valuable learning opportunity.
Interesting.
Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How could I do things differently next time?
So it's about developing resilience.
Absolutely.
That never give up attitude.
Exactly.
So we've covered all 5 steps.
We get it.
Self-reflection, self-acceptance, embracing a growth mindset, pursuing your passions,
Cultivating healthy relationships.
and embracing failure. But okay, these steps are great.
Yeah.
How do we put them into action?
That is the million-dollar question.
I know.
And luckily, the article has some answers for us.
Oh, good.
But I think we should save that for the final part of our deep dive.
Agreed. Let's give everyone a moment to let all this sink in, and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back.
Ready for the grand finale?
Part 3 of our deep dive into growing into yourself.
I'm excited for this one.
We've talked about all the benefits
The science behind it all.
and those 5 actionable steps.
They're so good.
But how do we actually make them a part of our everyday lives?
Well, that's where the rubber meets the road, right?
I guess so.
The article reminds us that personal growth, it's not a destination. It's a journey. There's no magic formula or overnight transformation.
That's true.
It's about showing up for yourself consistently,
Okay, consistency.
even when it's hard.
But how do we stay motivated,
Yeah.
when we don't see results right away?
Hmm.
Or when, setbacks happen?
That's where self-compassion comes in.
Okay.
Remember, you're not going to get it right all the time. You're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You're going to stumble.
Happens to the best of us.
And you're going to have days when you feel like you're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward.
Ugh, I hate those days.
We all do. It's like we talked about earlier, embracing those failures as part of the process.
Right, not being afraid to mess up.
Exactly.
Right.
And when those setbacks do happen, instead of beating yourself up,
Yeah.
try to approach yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a good friend.
Okay, so more self-love.
Exactly.
It's so easy to be hard on ourselves.
It is. But what if we treated ourselves with the same gentleness and encouragement that we offer to others?
That's a good point.
It could make a world of difference.
So what else does the article suggest?
Well, another thing they talk about is focusing on progress, not perfection.
Okay, I like that.
Celebrate those small wins along the way,
Even if they seem small.
even if they seem insignificant because they're not.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you're working on being more assertive
Okay.
and you finally speak up in a meeting
Yeah.
when you normally would have stayed silent.
That's a big step.
Or maybe you set a boundary with a friend
Right.
who's constantly taking advantage of your time.
Those are huge wins.
They are. But sometimes we brush those moments aside. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're focused on what's next.
Exactly. We get caught up in the not enough trap.
I'm very familiar with that trap.
But try shifting your focus to acknowledge how far you've come.
Okay.
Celebrate those victories, no matter how small they might seem.
So instead of constantly striving for some unattainable ideal, it's about recognizing and appreciating the progress we're making.
Exactly. And remember, this whole journey of growing into yourself, it's deeply personal. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Okay.
What works for one person might not work for another.
So find what works for you.
Precisely. Maybe journaling helps you connect with your inner self. Or maybe you find more clarity through movement or spending time in nature.
So many options.
Experiment. See what feels most authentic to you.
I like that.
Like we're all creating our own recipe for personal growth.
Using what works best for us.
Exactly. And the article also talks about seeking support.
Oh, yeah. Having a good support system.
Right. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
From anyone.
Could be a therapist, a coach, a mentor, a supportive friend.
Okay.
Having someone to guide and encourage you,
Yeah.
It can make all the difference.
It's like having a co-pilot on this journey of self-discovery.
I love that.
Someone to help you navigate the tough times and celebrate those moments of breakthrough.
And here's the beautiful thing.
What's that?
As you grow into yourself, you inspire others to do the same.
Really?
Your authenticity, it becomes a beacon,
Wow.
drawing others toward their own journeys.
So we're all in this together.
We are.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who's feeling lost or stuck,
Yeah.
or maybe just curious about exploring more of who they are, remember those powerful words from the article.
Okay, hit me with them.
Are you ready to have that very honest look in the mirror
Ooh.
and unleash your inner beast?
Powerful stuff.
It's a call to action, an invitation to step into your full potential
Yeah.
and create a life that reflects who you are at your core.
It's been an amazing deep dive
I've had so much fun.
into the world of personal growth and self-discovery.
So many good insights.
We hope you've learned something new today.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
The journey is never really over.
It's a lifelong adventure.
Filled with endless possibilities.
So keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.